They don't call it television programming for nothing. Television programming. Fear Ebola, fear ISIS, fear today, fear tomorrow, fear each other, fear Russia, fear for your kids, fear climate change, fear, 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 fear. Fear everything and then give us your power so we can save you from what we've manipulated you to fear. It's going on day after day after day across the great spectrum of society. It tells you what to wear, what to eat, what to think, what to love, what to fear, who to ridicule, who to condemn. And it makes stupid people famous.
DNA is beginning to tell a new story, and that's an exciting story. This sounds like science fiction, CSI kinds of stuff. But we are actually able to cull the DNA from a human out of the bone marrow from their fossils that are thousands and thousands and thousands of years old in a way that we have not been able to do in the past. That's the state of the DNA right now.
Before the 1920s, most women didn't smoke cigarettes, but Big Tobacco had a plan. They told women that they were being oppressed by men, and that cigarettes were torches of freedom. They infiltrated feminist rallies all over America, and they paid the leading feminist of the day to echo their message. I wonder if PR firms still use those tactics today. Teach your kids about propaganda with Homeschools Connected and Cubs to Bears books.
What I'm going to tell you. There are two kinds of law on the earth, as I've said. One is called civil law, which is the law of the land, and one is called maritime admiralty, which is called the law of water. Maritime admiralty is banking law. And the law on the maritime admiralty says that you, because you came out of your mother's water, are a maritime admiralty product. This is why the ship is sitting in its berth and it's tied to the dock, and the captain has to give a certificate of manifest to the port authorities because money is changing hands. This is why when you were born, you have to have a birth certificate. It's got to be signed by the dock, because that's where the ship is tied to, is the dock. So the dock signs your birth certificate. Why? Because you came down out of your mother's water. You came down her birth canal. You are a maritime admiralty product, and therefore your birth certificate is signed by your mother. And where your mother signed on the birth certificate, get it, you will see it does not say parent or mother, it says informant. Your mother was informing the bank that she has just produced another product to be bought and sold. England, the British Crown, through international banking, owns your physical body. And that's the law.
Warriors rise, it's time for war. Sharpen your axes, man of steel. Row into the sea. Team Horizons call our name.
I'm very proud of how I look. Yes, I am high maintenance, but I think you got to be. And frankly, I enjoy it.
Deep underground military bases in the United States. There's 1,477 of them worldwide. Each one has an average cost of $17 to $19 billion. Each one is built in the site, it used to be, it would take a year to 2 years to build each one. And now they're capable of building a couple of them a year with sophisticated methods. My colleague, Al Bielek, has actually been on some of the high-speed railways, the magneto-leviton trains that connect all the deep underground military bases within the United States. He's been on a Mach 2 train and floats off a single rail at a 3/4 of an inch off the rail, and is what you call high-tech. We have nothing like this on the surface. Groom Lake is where the infamous Area 51, S4, S2, a CIA base, it was originally a bombing range, a nuclear test site. It was later become the most secret base in the United States. It employs over 18,000 workers who work in shifts of 12 hours at a whack. Most of them work in the cover of darkness. like us. We built out 9 underground military bases there, each with an average capacity capable of basically a city underground, roughly 4.25 cubic miles hollowed out underground. They have boring machines, for instance. They don't bore, they literally vitrify and melt the rock, deflagrate the rock. It's a very sophisticated laser melting and deflagrating system. It reduces the rock to a powder and then melts the remaining rock as a coating.
This. You are not alone. This is the resistance. You are not alone. This is the resistance. You are not alone. This is the resistance.
Now, you don't know it yet, but you are listening to History in the Making while you are listening to this show.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man, yet as mortal as his own.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!
Censored by the mainstream media, the destroyer of fake news, and your host of The Rundown Live, Kristan T. Harris.
And the world is getting crazier and crazier day by day. I'm your host, Kristan T. Harris, and I'm here with my guest co-host. I shouldn't call him guest co-host, my co-host. I got to get used to this. After doing like 1,000 shows, like you kind of start to, get into these habits of just saying certain things. And one of them is obviously co-host, but really Don Vi Jr. is not a guest co-host. He is the host of the show with me. And the world is a crazy place. It's becoming more and more a science fiction reality. It's weird. It's like we're living in a mix of George Orwell's 1984 with They Live and Star Trek, and we got people wanting to turn people into the Borg and all sorts of bizarre stuff that is going on in the world today. And we're going to be diving into some of these things. But before you do, punch that like button. Let our friends know out there that you're listening. Drop some comments in the chat. We'd like to hear what you have to say. We bring it up often during the show. I want to give a shout out to some of the people. I see Jennifer in the chat. She says, what's up? We might have somewhere. We have Andy in the chat. And you know what? We're going to get back our YouTube channel. Well, we've waited till all the strikes have been removed, because the ADL likes to troll us. And we got a lot of listeners from TMZ and BET and the New York Times and everyone else. I don't know why they listen to this program, Don, but maybe it's because if they don't like what we have to say, they have to troll us. It's like, oh, we got to flag this, and it's always something like irrelevant. Like we got banned. We lost our channel with 20,000 subscribers on YouTube, which was, we get the same amount of viewership now with 1,400 as we did then because of the censorship on YouTube. And, we'd get hit for like claiming that pyramids are in other places than Egypt as misinformation. And the final was that we said that, the coronavirus came from the Wuhan lab. And what's wild is we weren't wrong on either of those. So they went ahead and we got our old channel removed, which, you know, maybe it's about time we joined the rest of the Cool Kid Club on band.video, which is where we are now. And KGRA DB, our Digital Broadcasting Association, that broadcasts us audio feed across the world. Check them out, kgradb.com. And if you don't know where to find it, you can find it at therundownlive.com. But what would you guys think? And I want you guys to stop and think about this for just a minute. Like, how would you feel if you could think something and make it happen? Like, Don, what if you didn't have to get out of bed, right? To turn on your TV or even grab a remote. And I'm not talking about the newer technology where you like blink twice and the TV turns on, or, you know, you swipe your hand left and the channel changes down, you swipe it right, and your TV goes up a channel. The volume goes up if you raise your TV, you swipe your hand up or down, and volume goes down. They have those gesture movements coming for television.
That's crazy.
I'm telling you, but what about the ability to send a text with your thoughts? I'm talking about synthetic telepathy. And this is something we've talked about over the last 10 years. In fact, I wrote an article about this in 2013 or 2012 that the military was already working on installing brain chip interfaces into troops so that they can have synthetic telepathy and communicate with each other. Now, I don't know what that looks like, Don, but my question is when we start going in and down this rabbit hole of synthetic telepathy, it reminds me of a couple of things. We talked a little bit yesterday that the EU is rebuilding the Tower of Babel. They are literally building a building that they believe is what they believe to be an accurate description of the Tower of Babel. And they're rebuilding this biblical building. I don't know why they are, but all it's going to do is trigger conspiracies, right? And then they're going to say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. They provide all the reasoning in the world to be scrutinized over decisions like this, because the Tower of Babel was a building that was allegedly supposed to be some kind of communicator or conductor, but it was the tallest building, and people from all the world, around the world, builders came and helped build it. Nimrod, who was the king of Babylon, also known as the first king to wear a crown because it represents the sun. He was Luciferianism, or what they dub as mystery religion. He wanted to build this building so that he could, you know, if God ever flooded the world again, that they could be saved. Essentially, they said they made it out of brick that was, you know, water resistant and many other things. And in the Bible, it said God feared this. And I thought, like, boy, God must be a tough guy, but why would God be afraid of this if he's omnipotent and this super being, that he would have to destroy it? And what he did is that's allegedly he separated everyone's languages so they couldn't understand each other to finish this building. But what if at one time humanity was always telepathic, and that was the language we all shared, and we were able to communicate with each other, and then through some advanced technology, transhumanist omni-deity known as God, or what we would describe as God, he just went, nah, we're going to cut the cord. You can all have your own languages, and you're going to babble. That's where the term Babel comes. It comes from Babylon and the Tower of Babel. And like, I'm just saying that they decide that they're going to resurrect this. They're the ones putting these weird looking beasts in front of the UN, and people are like, oh, it's Bible prophecy coming back to life. And we don't really know that, but what we do know is that it fits some form of description, and people are going to ask questions. And when you ask questions, as you know, there's a battle on conspiracies by the United Nations, and even Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers quarterback, was called a conspiracy theorist for telling NFL health officials that if you got the jab, you could still transmit and get COVID-19. And it's weird to me because he doesn't have a college degree. He does not, have a medical degree, did his own research. And how is it that he is right, but medical officials were wrong? Well, is it because the science changes? Well, nowadays, the science changing is just a cliche term to say that we were wrong and conspiracy theorists were right in many cases and forms. Not in everything, but we see a lot of this going on. And I made a little video of this situation, and this video started to pick up. It is on a top 10 on band.video. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to play this right now. But this is for you guys. If you didn't catch yesterday's program, you can. But this is a little bit of a recap. It's 2 minutes. This is Aaron Rodgers on the Joe Rogan Show. Did you guys know that Aaron Rodgers was recently on the Joe Rogan podcast talking about his reason for not going ahead and getting the jab? Turns out that Aaron Rodgers is allergic to one of the ingredients in the mRNA vaccination. And while doing studies of alternative treatments, he went ahead and started training camp just to find out that 5 people that were fully vaccinated also contracted the coronavirus. So when he went and provided his research to the health officials at the NFL, guess what? They called him the C word. Not that C word, conspiracy theorist. Let's take a listen. Here's Aaron Rodgers on the Joe Rogan podcast.
And then I had a conversation with the league, and the league said in this conversation, this is when I knew that my appeal was definitely not going to happen, was they said, it's not possible for a vaccinated person, to contract or transmit COVID if they've been vaccinated. And I said, you got to be kidding me. Because I showed up and 5 people, non-players, 5 people fully vaxxed are out with COVID. So what are you talking about? And he said, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, boy.
And I said, no, I just think I'm a realist. I'm just looking at the facts here.
Now, what's frightening about this is Aaron Rodgers has no college degree and he's not a medical expert. But how is it that Aaron Rodgers, who did his own research, would know before medical officials in the NFL that people who got the coronavirus also could transmit it even though they've been fully vaccinated and up to date on their vaccines? Our doctor is just following orders like a help call line where somebody just reads off of a whole list of answers and you get the same robotic answer. If you don't want the vaccine because you're worried about side effects, you must be a conspiracy theorist. What's even more scary is the fact that this must be politically motivated. Because recently we're hearing things about the United Nations war on conspiracies. But in reality, when they say this, the science has changed, it usually means the conspiracy theorists were right all along. I'm Kriston T. Harris. Support therundownlive.com. Punch the like button. Check out our daily show. And anyways, where we're going with this is when you ask questions, and just because you ask those questions doesn't mean that you're wrong, because the TV programs you. Did you know that the TV can program you? Like, it programs you to fear. Everything is fear porn these days, right? Mm-hmm. Coronavirus, you're going to die. Like, in fact, it was like, what was it? There's a poll on, I think, CNN or one of these major leftist networks that said that almost 80% of liberals believed if you got the coronavirus, you died. And the number of people who actually died from the capturing the coronavirus and then going through it was less than a fraction of a percentage point. Mm-hmm. It just, people are just disassociated. But what's weird is the TV sells the fear and the government offers the solution. And now we're hearing that the government's involved in censoring political topics such as Hunter Biden's laptop, and just think about all the bizarre, perverse things that are on there. He's calling his dad Pedo Pete, all this other bizarre things. But most people don't realize when you look at your cell phone, when you look at your TV, it sends out waves. Here's a patent for it, right? We're going to pull it up right here. We'll add it to the stream. And we're going to put it full screen for you guys so you guys can understand. This is literally a patent for TV mind control. And you can't make this stuff up. This is what it has to say. Now, where we're going with this is that the TV is no longer in the future going to control your mind, but your neural nanotech that is absorbed either through, inhaling oxygen or what you eat or however they're going to get the nanobots in your brain or a brain chip interface if you chose to go that route in the next 30 or 40 years. They'll be able to systematically program you to believe certain ways, to understand certain things, and to have the fear directly downloaded into your mind. Here it is, a nervous system manipulation by electromagnetic fields from monitors. Now, what's a monitor? That's a computer monitor. It's a TV monitor. And there's a reason, like David Icke says, and I heard it first from Ghislaine Maxwell, who I got to spend, talk to and be friends with the last 3 years of his life. And he talked a lot about programming. He recommended I read a book, 4 Reasons to Get Rid of Your TV. And this is probably more than one of them. Psychological effects have been observed in human subjects in response to stimulation of the skin with weak electromagnetic fields that are pulsed with certain frequencies near 0.5 hertz to 2.4 hertz, such as to excite a sensory resonance. Many computer monitors and TV tubes, when displaying pulsed images, emit pulsed electromagnetic fields of sufficient amplitudes to cause such excitation. It is therefore possible to manipulate the nervous system of a subject by pulsing images displayed on a nearby computer monitor or TV set. And what has the TV set been replaced with, Don?
Essentially computers, computer screens, a lot of things like that.
Cell phones. I mean, everyone's got a cell phone, right? A lot of the young generation spends more time on their cell phone than they probably do watching the television. Don't get me wrong, when the Green Bay Packers come on, I'm sure everyone's looking at the big screen here in Wisconsin and across the world because they are America's football team. Sorry, Dallas Cowboys. But it is the thing that we all do here. It's like a ritual. And when we do, what is it that they're programming us with? Commercials, news segments, and everything else. Even us on this program, we are programming you with information to grow ideas in the garden of your brain. And what's the floodgates that you have set up to help you think for yourself? But for the latter, the image pulsing may be embedded into program material, meaning that all they have to do is add it to their programs and it'll make you feel or program you to react a certain way. Or it may be overlaid by modulating a video stream, either as an RF signal or as a video signal. The image displayed on a computer monitor may be pulsed effectively by a simple computer program. For certain monitors, pulsed electromagnetic fields capable of exciting sensory resonances in nearby subjects may be generated, even as the displayed images are pulsed with subliminal intensity. And so basically, they're subliminally indoctrinating you. What you're seeing on TV, when it comes to fear, whether it is war with Russia and Ukraine, whether it's in Taiwan, whether it's here in the United States and Joe Biden calling for civil war, saying, we have F-15s, you better start buying some, and what would happen if Americans all started buying F-15s? Would they like that? Or would they go in and they bomb them? Because that's what happened with David Koresh, right? The whole idea that they had guns was the real thing. Look at Ruby Ridge. Look at all these situations where you have a right to own something. The government doesn't like it. They offer the fear, and then they come in and are the solution. And we should be concerned about this because when we hear doctors tell professional athletes blatant lies, and somebody with an average or slightly above average IQ can do research and find out the truth, and then get called a conspiracy theorist by an expert who was obviously wrong because the science changes, we're not following the programming when they use that term. That's the latest term. Conspiracy theorist has been redefined as not following the program. You're not following the program. You're not you become a bad software virus, and you're no longer doing what you're supposed to be doing while you're programmed, because all they're trying to do is run a program on you, much like on a computer, right? They want to give you your COVID update jabs and your next update jab, your flu jab, your smallpox jab, your mRNA jab, whatever it is. They're just trying to put it in you. Now it's bugs like worm burgers, and you can't make this stuff up. Did you know that they're trying to get people to eat worm burgers?
I did. The amount of eat the bugs propaganda that is really starting to bleed its way into the mainstream is absolutely insane. I'm seeing it all over the place nowadays.
The question is, why are they pushing this idea?
I think because it goes right in line with the World Economic Forum's agenda behind it. I mean, it's essentially...
Isn't it? Okay. So we heard it there. We've been programmed to know it's coming, and they say, oh, whatever, you're already eating bugs. And now there's even a recipe on recipe sites. I'm pulling this up. This is Moby Recipe. How to make worm burgers at home. And I'm sure it's with candy worms, right? But the idea is you're being programmed to make creepy crawler burgers. And then how long is it before they go to the real burgers? And that's what we've been talking about here, is that they're actually talking about real worm burgers. Worm burgers could solve world hunger, says New York Post, right here on the screen. So what they're doing is dehumanizing you, right? They're trying to say, you know, this is the solution for world hunger. I thought GMOs were the solution for world hunger. Remember when you were fact challenged and hundreds of credible scientists got fired for independent studies showing that Monsanto GMO glyphosate was not safe to consume, and they were called fact challenged conspiracy theorists, and they literally made a fake news list around the idea trying to stop misinformation getting out. Now you can't turn on your TV without a settlement commercial for Monsanto GMO Roundup, you know, and here it is. Worm burgers, bro. Look at that. Yum. Put that on my plate. Like, okay, bro, can I ask you a question? If you had to make a choice,
eat a worm burger.
Well, if you had to eat one, like if you had to eat either a Ben Zion, like human-made cell burger, because if you guys don't know, Johann Ben Zion is a fake name for a candidate for the Transhumanist Party who ran for president. He was a anti-fascist, dressed up as a pig with lipstick, per se, a communist. And really feels that is the way of the future, fully automated luxury communism. And he's the mouthpiece and hangs out with people like Natasha Vita-Moore and Max Moore and controversial people who, you know, some people claim the conspiracy there is they got Jeffrey Epstein's cryonics contract. You know, they have his body on ice right now, like Walt Disney and other people. But he made a burger using his skin cells, and he grew cannibal burgers, and he called them Ben Zion burgers. There's actually a whole article on it, and I'll pull it up here. But if you had to eat either a Ben Zion burger made of his own human flesh, right, that he grew in cells in his home, or you had to eat a worm burger, and you had to pick one in order to survive, which one would you eat?
I'm not sure I'm picking either. That's a scenario that I'm not currently capable of addressing.
Come on, you have to pick one. Like if you're a listener out there, what would you eat? Would you eat the Ben Zion burger or the worm burger? Here's the Ben Zion burger. This is on biohack.info. And basically, transhumanist President Johann Ben Zion has been consuming human meat that he grows in his home lab. The 40-year-old Facebook politician turned biohacker claims the lab-grown human meat is from cell cultures that he took from his own skin. Give me that Big Ben's burger joint. Yeah. You know, but here's the thing is they sneak it into the food, right? Like, we're now finding out that a lot of our food already contains bugs. And they're saying, well, what's the big deal? Well, there's difference between getting one or two little mites in your food versus eating. Look at this. Like, you can literally, like, people can go get their own worms, right? We're going to go pay for worms and worm burgers when we can just go grab worms out of our backyard when it rains, or like, oh yeah, let's go grab the worms. Is this a real thing? I don't know, guys. We'll get into this more when we come back from commercial break. You're listening to the Rundown Live, rundownlive.com on band.video and KGRADB. We'll see you guys when we come back from these messages from our sponsors.
Looks innocent enough, doesn't it? Lots of young people play cornhole in the park. Seems like a good place to toss a bag around. But sometimes there are dangers involved that never meet the eye. So no matter where you meet a stranger, be careful if they're too friendly. One never knows when the conspiracy theorist is about. Let's take the case of Ronald Farber. Ronald played cornhole all afternoon, and he didn't feel like throwing bags alone, so he decided to ask another boy. He'd done it 100 times before. He didn't think anything was unusual when the boy struck up a friendly conversation. In fact, he seemed like a real nice guy. What Ronald didn't know was that Ralph was sick. A sickness that was not visible like swine flu, but no less dangerous and contagious. A sickness of the mind. You see, Ralph was a conspiracy theorist, a paranoid person with a desperate need to feel they have a special knowledge that somehow sets them apart from the masses. So no matter where you meet a stranger, be careful. If they are too open-minded, if they question the official versions of the facts, and if they don't trust the United States government. One never knows when the conspiracy theorist is about. He may appear normal.
It's no secret that the independent media is held to a much higher standard than the lamestream media. When's the last time that you've seen the New York Times get a 30-day ban for lying about weapons of mass destruction? Or how about the Independent getting a 7-day suspension on YouTube for claiming that everyone that Kyle Rittenhouse shot was African American? The truth is you don't, because they get away with it. We don't. We're independents. And what separates us from the lamestream media is that we are 100% funded by you. That's right. We're your radio program. We're your station. And we're open to everyone. We're interested in hearing all the topics, all the sides, because that's kind of like how science works, right? You take in all the data, you decide what is correct and what is not, but it doesn't censor information, because then you can't make great decisions to feed your brain. We need your help here on therundownlive.com. Support us by heading over to our website and checking out our brand new swag. We have hot and sexy, all-seeing eye UFO pyramid boombox t-shirts. That's right, check them out. They're great, and there's no better way to support us than picking up some swag to spread the word about liberty and freedom and the ability to choose what is real and what is not for yourself, not some ministry of truth. Check us out, therundownlive.com. Pick up a t-shirt today. Again, that's therundownlive.com. Hit our store link and go shop, pick something up, support us.
Oil and slave labor. These two wonderful industries make modern life a breeze. And what this fine little filly doesn't realize is that her chic accessories and stunning appearance come from oil and slave labor.
Huh?
That's right, classy lassie. Everything from your thong to your nail polish, your smartphone to your eyelashes come from oil and slave labor. Your top from Uzbekistan. Shorts from China. Jewelry from Indonesia. And your iPhone from Taiwan.
Oh no, not my iPhone!
Steve Jobs may have been a genius, but he couldn't work like a 5-year-old Asian boy can. Even your bra and panties from Bangladesh. Whoa there! Looks like science can go no further. Except for these silicone beauties from DuPont.
Hey.
Oil and slave labor, making the Western world beautiful.
Rundown Live, rundownlive.com. We're back from commercial break, and we've been talking about eating worm burgers, and we're going to dive into this for a second because the producer of KGRA said he'd rather starve to death. He's right there with Don Vi Jr. It's like the Donner party here. Would you like, what piece of Don would you eat if you had to eat a piece of Don in order to stay alive? And he'd rather starve to death. Yep, you know, that's kind of where we're at with things. And you know, how we got here kind of on this conversation, we've been a little bit all over the board today, but, you know, it's interesting, guys. So punch that like button, share the live stream, get some comments in the chat. I see that there's some people filling in the chat right now. Somebody says we can have Kanye sausage time again. Actually, Bite Labs pulled down their website. I just want you to know, because, you know.
Really?
Well, you know, when we have the ADL and, you know, TMZ and BET and all these major news outlets that listen to the program, even though they like to talk trash about us, but yet they like to feed their brain with some of the data that we have. You know, they probably contacted it and said, take it down if you're not going to follow through. Like, as people are saying, it's going to happen. Well, yeah, they claim that that's their words, not ours. And
that must have been recent, because I remember just probably a little over a month ago, I was actually on PlayStation with my brother, and I was telling him about it, and he didn't believe me. So I was like, no, hold on, I got to show you this. So I pulled up the Byte Labs website and I sent it to him.
It's back up.
Okay.
It was down for a while. Bytelabs.org. And for those that don't know, because like I wanted to dive into the synthetic telepathy thing, but Give me a second. Let me exit out because I have this all set up for this. BiteLabs.org. I put it on the screen. Essentially, they were trying to make celebrity meat out of celebrities. Like they're going to actually make cannibalism a cool thing. And they're probably sitting with Klaus Schwab and he's like, "Sie make the salami in the German wurst and you put the human in the wurst and you put some good spices and then we have the cannibalism," or whatever Klaus Schwab sounds like. But this is the website right here we have on the screen. And it says, "Eat celebrity meat. Bite Labs grows meat from celebrity tissue samples and uses it to make artisanal salami. Watch now." I wonder if they have a video on it. Oh, they have a video on it now. Bro, they've upgraded their game. Here it is. This is the video. I'm going to play this in the background, right? This video here, here it is. And, this is them explaining. It's, of course, for the green agenda, they say. It's for environmentalism, that you just got to eat each other because that lowers carbon ratings. But there's still no definite proof on how much you affect, carbon, in fact, compared to other things. So here it is in the background. We're playing it while we are, talking about this. This is wild. Why? And for the listeners out there that don't know what's going on, we are essentially watching a Bite Labs commercial where they're talking about eating celebrity meat grown from human tissues and muscles, and they're gonna put it in the meat before you know it. They're already got synthetic embryonic fluid in the Pepsi and the Miller Lite, possibly, and other things that they use as it's not real embryonic fluid, but it's synthetic. They have DNA printers that just print these kind of things and ingredients for vaccinations. They're not organic, right? And so Bite Labs decided that they're going to make human celebrity meat to make it cool. And that's what they want to do. And they said, help get celebrities on board. Like if you were going to go to the Packer game and you're going to get some brats, they'll be made out of Aaron Rodgers. That's how they're going to make it cool. That's the idea. And if you're a good Green Bay Packer fan, are you going to eat Rodgers? Hell yeah, I'm going to eat Rodgers. Put some mustard and some Dijon on that brat and some of that sauerkraut, But here they have James Franco, and the Franco salami must be smoky and sexy, and Jennifer Lawrence. The J-Law salami will be complemented by a mixture of rabbit and pork, Kanye West salami, and of course Ellen DeGeneres, which comes as the side of Elton John sauce, probably. Black pepper and garlic with a playful kick of mustard. You can't make this stuff up. This is like a celebrity cannibalism that they're trying to make cool. And, it's a real thing. This is where the future is going unless we stand up and we take back this country. But it's becoming harder and harder as multinational corporatists have been really lobbying politicians. And they're telling you right now what they're going to do with the World Economic Forum. And what's sad is the people in the World Economic Forum, they actually believe they're doing the best thing for humanity. But the thing is this isn't a democratic republic. This isn't us voting on what we want to do as a collective. This is a few select elite individuals who've been gifted positions at the Council on Foreign Relations, which they lied about for years, said it didn't exist. The Trilateral Commission, Bilderbergers, Bohemian Grovers, the Wolfsburg Societies of the world, the Clubs of Rome, and everyone else, the Club of 300, and everyone else that's involved in all these steering committees that guide Davos and the World Economic Forum. And they basically are the ones setting the tone with the United Nations. In fact, there's literally a Freemasonry documentary on the Illuminati. And basically they said, yeah, the United Nations is an Adam Weishaupt agenda, and it was his idea. The New World Order was his idea. And they program us with the TV, the president saying this term, New World Order, to the point where people, the World Economic Forum, are briefed on it that the New World Order conspiracy is not what people think it is. It is something different because the elitists have redefined what they want you to believe it is versus what is really happening. And what is really happening is that we're going to all be sitting with brain chip implants, whether we want it or not. We had the head of Google saying, oh, you're going to have brain chip implants, nanobots partying in your brain within 10 years. Whether or not that's true, I'm not sure, but I know that was part of the chemtrail conspiracy, that they're putting aluminum and metals in there that can conduct and make you little zombies. But here, this is an article I wrote, and this is I think I republished this 2019. It says this is 3 years before the mainstream media. So synthetic telepathy allows you to think a message to someone. Imagine being able to think a message to a friend, allowing them to see things remotely through your eyes. Scientists for years have been working on technology that can diagnose and translate your thoughts. The latest evolution in this technology is called synthetic telepathy, which is also referred to telepathy or psychotronics. The process currently requires a brain-computer interface to translate your thoughts and allow users to send and receive your invisible communication. The latest tech craze has caught the eyes of the U.S. military, according to Discover News, and has invested millions into the synthetic telepathy, hoping to turn soldiers into telepaths. Of course the military wants this, right? The University of California, Irvine, explains that the brain-computer interface would use a non-invasive brain imaging technology like calligraphy to let people communicate thoughts to each other. For example, a soldier would think a message to be transmitted, and a computer-based speech recognition system would decode the EEG signal. The decoded thoughts, in essence, translated brain waves, are transmitted using a system that points and directs in the direction of the intended target. And Dr. Kevin Warwick of the University of Reading, a leading researcher in the area of cyborgs, of course, has proposed telepathy or synthetic telepathy will be much like texting in your head. Some exchanges would be conscious, while some would be a new kind of technology enabling unconscious communication. Now, this is from 2019. This was on the Rundown Live when I was writing 3-4 articles a day, and I don't write at all now because what's the point when most people don't see it? But the main reason I'm bringing this up because all these articles I've written have come to fruition. I knew what was happening years ago, and I'm sure people like Jones and the sticky icky David Icky, the good old sticky icky, all those things that are out there, those people out there that have warned about this. So here it is in the news. This happened literally let's see, what is this? 2 days ago. 2 days ago, the mainstream news is reporting on this, right? Here it is in the mainstream news. And we're going to have this playing in the background. Okay. Oh, that's the Byte Labs. That's not what I wanted. Here it is in the background playing. This is the mainstream news talking about brain innovation. Oh, it's new. Well, we've been talking about it for years and years and years. And guess what they're saying? Brain implant allows you to send thoughts as texts and emails, researchers say. And I'm just saying, look at this, bro. This is literally CBS. Like if all they had to do is listen to the Rundown Live 3 years ago, and this news would have been brand new. Now, there are health benefits to this, like, don't get me wrong. If you're mute and you can't talk or you're disabled, like that they're showing here with paralysis, it'll allow him to communicate and speak or send text via using his thoughts and or a laptop to send an email, because the brain chip interface or the neural nanotech will actually send it to the person that you want to receive it. And this all ties into the ideas of government surveillance, right? How much you want to bet once we can start using brain chip interfaces or neural nanobot technology, which are microscopic robots that will be in your bloodstream and in your brain, and we can communicate this information to other people, that they're going to hack and they're going to want to know everything that you think. This leads into the whole Minority Report thing. Have you ever seen Minority Report, Don?
Surprisingly enough, considering the fact that I'm such a huge movie buff, I have not.
What's interesting is I've seen it. It's been a long time, but essentially a person has police robots chasing him and he doesn't know why. And it's because of pre-crime. He hasn't committed crime yet, but they believe in the future he's going to commit this crime. So what they do is they go after and they arrest people. And it's basically like a lottery. Every day, a bunch of people's numbers come up and the machines go after them because they know that in the future that they're going to commit this crime. And he says, well, I haven't committed the crime yet. There's no proof that I would commit. I would never do this, but yet they're going after him. And so when we start talking about brain chip interfaces, I start to think about, Marvel X-Men comic books where you have maybe somebody who has a brain chip interface and they're controlling like a drone, right? They're controlling an entire drone using these brain chip interfaces or multiple drones. What was that? Spider-Man, where the evil bad guy, he uses telepathy to control all the drones, right? And essentially try to take down Spider-Man.
Yeah,
And
that was Spider-Man: Homecoming. He had this big ass helmet that he would put on his head. He posed as a superhero to get Spider-Man's trust, and he betrayed him eventually. And then he created all these like holographic villains and monsters, so he could pretend to be the hero. In reality, they're all like these little, tiny drones flying around. And eventually, when Spider-Man and his crew figure out what the hell's going on, of course, he goes after them, and there's a whole bunch of drone warfare, and it's really wild stuff. Surprisingly, I only just recently saw that movie as well.
well, here it is. Brain implant uses only your thoughts to operate digital devices. And they actually have videos of people controlling drones and monkeys controlling, wheelchairs, amongst other things. But it says millions of people around the world are unable to use digital technology because physical impairments. However, what if they could send a text or email using only their thoughts? It may sound like in wishful thinking, but new technology currently in the tech clinical trials could make this a reality, according to researchers. See, this is what we talk about on the Rundown Live. This stuff is all about to come true. And whether you like it or not, the dark art of telepathy, something that people believe was a natural, like paranormal thing, is becoming a reality with technology. This is kind of like one of those things where you watch a movie and somebody is able to walk in somebody's dreams and see them in a dream or whatever it is. This technology will allow you to do something similar, where maybe you will be able to communicate with people in their dreams and thoughts. And that's kind of wild to me, because we don't trust the government the way it is. And it sounds like great technology, right? But what about the surveillance? How will this be shaped by artificial intelligence? What kind of access do they have, not just to this, but to your brain? And could they turn your brain off, like with these brain chip interfaces? Here, we're going to switch gears just a little bit, just to give you an idea. The government is still encroaching on our liberties using cell phone site simulators. And if you don't know this, you're way behind the curve, like 10 years behind the curve. I was censored because of my research and my journalistic research into Stingray and Hailstorm technology that law enforcement received from the 1033 program. They also got cell phone jammers, amongst other things. Tech Tool offers police mass surveillance on a budget. Oh, guess what? It's getting cheaper now for them to spy on you. Local law enforcement agencies from suburban Southern California to rural North Carolina have been using an obscure cell phone tracking tool, at times without search warrants. Okay, first of all, why isn't anyone being arrested for this? You can't stalk somebody without a warrant, right? You're accessing personal data. That gives them the power to follow people's movements months back in time, according to the public records and internal emails obtained by the Associated Press. Police used Fog Reveal to search hundreds of billions of records from 250 million mobile devices, harness the data to create location analysis known among law enforcement as patterns of life, according to thousands of pages of records about the company. And so let's look at what Fog Reveal is. You start looking at it. Sold by Virginia-based Fog Data Science LLC. Fog Reveal has been used since at least 2018 in criminal investigations, ranging from the murder of a nurse in Arkansas to tracing the movements of potential participants in January 6th insurrection of the Capitol. So they're using it from everyone, from murderers to people who are just loitering, bro. You don't even have to commit a crime. It's wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely insane, but we've seen, this illegal mass surveillance has unfortunately been commonplace for a very long time. Of course, we asked the question, how is this legal? It's not really, but unfortunately, going back to the Bush administration and the passage of the Patriot Act post 9/11, which surprisingly was drafted before 9/11, and it just so happened that the September 11th attacks gave them the pretext needed to enact it. Swish that around in your brain for
Patriot
a little bit.
Act,
We're gonna have,
right? There's no more Fourth Amendment.
And then after it was reauthorized by President Obama in 2012 in the not so aptly named USA Freedom Act. We talk about that a lot. How these the names of these bills are essentially the antithesis of what they actually do. The Patriot Act, not patriotic. The Freedom Act actually takes away more of your freedom. All these things, and this mass surveillance has been going, at one point in time, we talked about, conspiracies and conspiracy theories. At one point in time, mass surveillance was just a conspiracy theory. You were a tinfoil hat nut job if you believe the government is tracking and
There's no
listening to
cameras on
everything
the
you're
street
doing and
corners,
saying.
bro. When
And then
10 years ago, I did.
Yeah, and then in 2013, everything changed when a man by the name of Edward Snowden talked to a journalist by the name of Glenn Greenwald and released a bunch of documents about the NSA's secret PRISM program, in which they were, conducting mass surveillance along with AT&T, along with Verizon, collecting the records of millions of Americans. This is actually one of the major conspiracies turned conspiracy fact that I talked about in my most recent article that we covered somewhat yesterday, because the reality of mass surveillance, it actually stretches back to the late 1800s. Not a lot of people know that, but I covered in that article, I sourced a couple pieces from Meyer Berger, who during the 1930s to the 1950s was one of the most renowned and respected investigative journalists in the world. And so I sourced one of his articles from the New York Post, the New York Daily News, I believe, in the 1930s, and then another massive expose that he conducted in the 1950s, showing police departments working with wiretapping companies, so tracing individuals' information through telegram wires and wiretapping and things of that nature. So yes, illegal mass surveillance stretches all the way back to the late 1800s, and the more we see this continue to be allowed to proliferate itself, is the worse it gets. And I say allowed because unfortunately this is a thing that the people are allowing. We have so many of Americans are like, well, if you have nothing to hide, then what are you worried about? It's not about hiding something. It's about your inherent right as a human being to have privacy. And I've had to bang my head against the wall with so many of these people having these conversations. Like, it's not about hiding. It's about you as a person. You have a right to privacy. They don't get to just spy on you for no reason. And some people will still get stuck in this, this idea, oh, well, I don't care. Well, you should care, because when they take more of your information, not only does it create a minority report sort of a situation where they're just spying on you in general, but now we have this sophisticated sort of surveillance with social media companies and telecom companies through the CIA and the NSA, where they're taking your metadata, and what do you think they're doing with it? They're using their metadata, your metadata, to learn about who you are, what makes you tick subconsciously, to figure out how they can manipulate the algorithms that you're seeing in your social media feeds to program and psychologically manipulate you. This is really deep stuff. I didn't mean to go off on a rant there, but yes, mass surveillance.
Man. Listen, that's what we do here. And I'm going to tell our listeners why right now, and viewers, why the whole statement, if you're not doing anything wrong, you've got nothing to worry about, and debunk it right now. It's going to be very simple. Here's the Institute for Policy Studies. What if I told you that the average American commits 3 felonies a day? And they don't even know it because there's so many laws on the book. That means that law enforcement is randomly applying these laws. They're not going after everyone. But once they have the ability to surveil you at all times, all they have to do is look for one of those every day, just follow you everywhere you go, and they're going to find something you do that can be wrong. Here it is. This is from Institute for Policy Studies. We're supposed to be the land of the free, but believe it or not, the United States is actually the most incarcerated country on the planet. We have more people in jail than anyone else in the world. It's true. Well,
just to interject, that's another fact that people need to be aware of. Not only are we the most incarcerated country on the planet right now, historically speaking, there are more people in prison, incarcerated in the United States, largely for victimless and non-violent offenses right now, than the entirety population of the concentration camps of Nazi Germany and the Soviet gulags combined. That's a shit ton of people.
Well, and we have a lot of bogus laws on the book, and we put people in jail for like a whole bunch of like non-victimless crimes. I mean, there's a number of reasons for this. Of course, the war on drugs, the rise of profit-making prisons. There's the way the police go for the lowest hanging fruit, badly written laws. But in fact, Harvard University professor Harvey Silverglate estimates that that daily life in the United States is so overcriminalized that the average American professional, that's you or me, commits about 3 felonies a day. And that's astounding. Just think about it. At any time, you could commit a felony, not even know it. Yet, despite our addiction to incarceration, some of the worst offenders aren't punished. Look at Ghislaine Maxwell. Did you hear today, like, Ghislaine Maxwell got a prominent job? She's working out of prison in a position that people who have been there trying to get their entire life. She just walks in and lollygags on in after molesting a bunch of children. And guess who got the gig? Just guess. It's, of course, none other than the child. Why is she getting such privy treatment when most molesters, they're normally murdered or beaten by inmates? Here it is. Ghislaine Maxwell does a Shawshank Redemption by landing plum job in legal department of her new Florida jail, infuriating her fellow inmates. Ghislaine Maxwell, 60, landed a cushy job working in the legal library of the low security Florida prison where she is now incarcerated. Of course, she's only a child rapist, you know, so she gets a luxury prison. She's not in a hard prison. The job could keep her from doing unsavory cooking and cleaning jobs, so she doesn't have to do those, and other inmates are forced into her. Maxwell landed the job despite arriving at the prison mere weeks ago, outraging other inmates who have sought such a job for years and years, the Mirror reported. And check this out. Like any defense, the hero of Andy Dufresne, the hero of Shawshank Redemption, Maxwell's library job could keep her from doing unsavory cooking. There are girls inside who have been washed thousands of floors, peeled thousands of vegetables, done all manners of things, including keeping their noses clean, hoping to get such a gig. One inmate said, according to the Mirror, yet Ghislaine is gifted it. Ghislaine, 60, reportedly was given the job by leadership within the low security FCI prison in Tallahassee, where she is currently incarcerated. I wonder how much they were paid off, bro. The job, I mean, some has to happen. There's no way.
Oh, yeah.
She gets moved to a low maintenance prison. She gets a prominent job. She's like literally should have had the story of the year and nobody covered it because it's involving politicians, multinational corporatists, and child trafficking. And, you know, Bill Clinton, all these names that were on the list, Donald Trump, you know, Les Wexner, Bill Gates. And, you know, it's weird, you know, that she is getting this. The fictional difference was innocent, while Maxwell is notoriously guilty of aiding prolific child sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein and even joining in on his, you know, the underage fun. And yet she's getting treated better than you or I if we got in jail for, you know, doing anything, you know, sexual abuse.
She's being treated better for facilitating the international kidnapping, trafficking, and rape of children than 90% of people currently sitting in the U.S. for selling a dime bag of pot. And if that doesn't piss anybody off, I don't know what will. It's infuriating. It honestly makes me, and it should make everyone, very, very angry. But we called it in the beginning, you know, when we were covering the Maxwell trial. You were in Manhattan. Yeah, you were in Manhattan. I was here covering things remotely, and, you know, every day, you know, I was like, you know, this, we could see the writing on the wall, and I said, she's going to be a fall chick. You know, this is going to be, you know, Banana Republic trial, kangaroo court, and, you know, she's going to get the special treatment. She's not going to, there's not going to be actual accountability. They're not even necessarily throwing her under the bus. They're just using her as the fall guy, and it shuts up everything. And everything was already kind of shut up because you and me were one of the only actual journalists to actually authentically cover the trial.
Yeah, I was there every day, for 5 weeks. And here are the comments. We're going to go to commercial break here in just a moment. But here are some of the comments. In fact, we'll hit these comments when we come back. I want you to know what the rest of the world is thinking. I don't know what anyone is like. How does this happen? How does the most notorious criminal get cozy put jobs? Obviously, she's keeping her mouth tight about something. She must have some kind of leverage. I'm surprised that she isn't just off. Remember, this is the United Nations cozy lady, the World Economic Forum. She's in with all these bad gurus who love to harm children and, you know, mutilate them and everything else. Anyways, guys, if you want to contact us, show tips at the Rundown Live. We'll read your emails on air. You can text us via tweet on Twitter, Rundown Live. You can find us Rockfin, ROKFIN.com/the Rundown Live, Rumble, the Rundown Live, or just go to the rundownlive.com, find everything you want on us. We'll be back after these messages from our sponsors. Hang in there. We'll be back.
It lurks in the forest,
A 45-foot-high stone owl ready to sacrifice an effigy. It's Moloch! 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 The great horned giant Babylonian pagan fire god mascot of the Bohemian Grove! Watch Moloch's annual ritualistic thrill show spectacular, The Creation of Care! Businessmen, bankers, politicians, and presidents side by side, ridding themselves of no care. For 2 weeks in July, the elite are out to cross-dress, drink wine, and touch penises. That's right, it's Man-O-Rama! This hooded rogue satanic summer camp with skulls is men only. Getting down and dirty in the woods. Plus gourmet food.
A barbecue. A baby barbecue. You want to barbecue the babies.
But remember, weeding spiders come not here.
Mr. Gergen, say hi to Moloch for me, Canaanite deity, and I'll see you at Eyes Wide Shut, baby.
Located at 20601 Bohemian Avenue, just off the 12 freeway in Monterey, exactly 75.2 miles north of San Francisco. Turn right on Fulton, left on Occidental, right at Green Hill, another left at Brighton, right at Bohemian Highway, and one more right at Bohemian Avenue, and you're there! Brought to you by MK Ultra. Be Control. Be Ultra!
Weaving spiders come out here? Yeah!
It's no secret that the independent media is held to a much higher standard than the lamestream media. When's the last time that you've seen the New York Times get a 30-day ban for lying about weapons of mass destruction? Or how about the Independent getting a 7-day suspension on YouTube for claiming that everyone that Kyle Rittenhouse shot was African American? The truth is you don't, because they get away with it. We don't. We're independents. And what separates us from the lamestream media is that we are 100% funded by you. That's right. We're your radio program. We're your station. And we're open to everyone. We're interested in hearing all the topics, all the sides, because that's kind of like how science works, right? You take in all the data, you decide what is correct and what is not, but it doesn't censor information because then you can't make great decisions to feed your brain. We need your help here on therundownlive.com. Support us by heading over to our website and checking out our brand new swag. We have hot and sexy, all-seeing eye UFO pyramid boombox t-shirts. That's right, check them out. They're great, and there's no better way to support us than picking up some swag to spread the word about liberty and freedom and the ability to choose what is real and what is not for yourself, not some ministry of truth. Check us out, therundownlive.com. Pick up a t-shirt today. Again, that's therundownlive.com. Hit our store link and go shop, pick something up, support us.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a new world order, a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Until now, the world we've known has been a world divided, a world of barbed wire and concrete block, conflict, Cold War. Now we can see a new world coming into view, a world in which there is the very real prospect of a new world order.
That's George Bush and George Bush Jr. They're saying the same terms, two different presidents, amongst other things. You guys are listening to the Rundown Live, rundownlive.com. You want to email us, showtips@therundownlive.com. We've been talking about essentially Ghislaine Maxwell getting a cushy job in prison, amongst other things. And I'm reading some of these comments here, but before you do that, punch the like button, share the live stream, and drop some comments in the chat here. We can definitely go ahead and read some of those if you guys drop some more on there. I noticed that there are some activity there, but Kanye sausage time again. People say right stuff. This stuff is crazy. Ghislaine Maxwell is wild. Somebody says Kristan has hair like this wild. Let the people talk about in the chat. And then we have some big changes happening here too, hopefully, and we'll see what's going on. But we're gonna be increasing our live listenership greatly, hopefully within the next 6 months. And we got some different things we're talking about doing here. We need you to help spread the word. Like us, link us, go check out the rundownlive.com. But back to the story. The whole Ghislaine Maxwell trial, where I was at for 5 weeks, and Don and I were doing shows remotely while this was going on, and I was robbed while I was in there. If you guys heard about the journalist being robbed, reporter being robbed for filming and questioning Ghislaine's sister, Isabel Maxwell, that was me. I literally had my Airbnb broken into. They only stole a laptop. It was wild. I still don't know what happened to that laptop. Never got it back, and I probably never will. However,
did the police ever even follow up on that, or did they just leave it?
They ended up just like, there's nothing they could do. There's like, they could look for the person, but literally somebody drove up a vehicle. They knew which building to get. They let him out. He walked up, took the air conditioner out of the front window, went through the front Airbnb, through the kitchen, into the back Airbnb, only stole my laptop. Not the brand new bottle of whiskey, not the legal marijuana, which, you could have in New Jersey City, it's legal. And, not in $250 set of headphones, not TVs, not nothing else, just a laptop, which is, I'm saying skeptic. And it comes within 24 hours of Isabel Maxwell taking my picture because I drilled her on the Bilderberg group and synthetic tech, synthetic biology and the World Economic Forum. And it was the Bilderberg group that I brought up that she specifically started to recognize me. And, it's funny because they all go to the Bilderberg group and they all hang out there and they think they're cool because they're violating the Logan Act and they can get away with it because they're rich and powerful, just like Ghislaine Maxwell, tinkling with children and stuff like that. And this is like, I don't understand it. They give her a prominent position in jail, right? They give her a cushy prison. Now she doesn't have to peel potatoes. It's above her, because she's the good UN child who got caught doing the dirty UN work. And here's what the comments are saying. There's over 506 comments, and there's more comments than shares, right? There's 178 shares. This is on the Daily Mail UK. And it says, here's some of the comments. It is amazing that someone can be imprisoned for trafficking underage girls and be involved in the sexual abuse, yet the people she trafficked them for have not all been rounded up. What happened to the list of names? I know what happened to that list. Here's another one. That's not a good job for someone who's in jail. Almost every job in jail comes with perks. People that work in the laundry room get paid by people to wash their clothes separately. Cooks get to make their own food and have access to all types of ingredients, which they sell, LMAO. People that clean their own cubicles, they get to rent out for big bucks and go on. She got a real crappy job because there's nothing that really comes with that job. Oh, okay, except for she doesn't have to peel potatoes. She doesn't have to scrub floors. She doesn't have to do all the hard job. And then here it goes. Of course she'll have it cushy, another person says. Women's prison is so easy. It's a wonder there aren't more female criminals. One person says, I thought she had.
And the irony behind that is, I'm not sure if they paid attention to the last article. She's not actually in a women's prison. It's a co-ed. Yeah, it's a co-ed prison, like club fed, basically. They're not in prison cells. For anyone who missed the episode where we covered when she got transferred down to Tallahassee, she's not in a prison cell. She's in like a little living dormitory cubicle, basically like a 12 by 12 room. She's got a bed, she's got a TV, she can do yoga, tennis outside in the tennis court, access to radio privileges. Like she's living it up in there.
Yeah, yoga and everything there, right? She probably gets conjugal visits from underage girls too, for all we know. There are girls that are just 18 in the prison. She gets all that she wants probably there. How do you justify calling this a prison, bro? You're in prison to be punished for a crime you've been found guilty of committing. On the penal system's way of punishment consists of prisoners living better than a lot of people outside of prison. 3 meals a day, a free place to live, free, no utilities to pay every month, no car payment, no insurance, access to computers, TVs, phones, free medical care, gym for exercise classes and books for higher education, drugs, cigs, sex if you're interested, free time to do nothing, free clothes, etc. This is punishment. Think about it. Is it really punishment? Is she really did she learn her lesson? It seems like she feels like she's been wrongly put there, and somebody is paying the way for her to have a lucrative prison life. After the way that they've treated her so far, nothing is too good for her. Just keep in mind, she has made a deal, spent some time to say nothing, couple of years, she's out. That's what people are thinking. That's what a lot of individuals out there are thinking.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if we see, like, in 2025, 2026, maybe even before that, it's just, all of a sudden, she gets popped for good behavior because, it's a travesty in and of itself that she's only getting 15 to 20 years when it should be life for the horrendous, heinous crimes that she's committed.
Some people say she'll have an unfortunate, unseen accident soon. Just you wait for it. I doubt it. If that was going to happen, it would have happened already. Like, she literally has some kind of protection. People are paying for her to go. Like, how do you end up in this prime prison when you're such a horrible person? And it makes you wonder if it's her association with the FBI, the CIA, and everything else. But what, like, literally, just
I think a lot of
positive.
it. And, of course, she's very wealthy. She has, a lot of these top connections. She has ties to Bill Clinton. She has ties to Donald Trump. She has ties to Bill Gates. And she's also friendly with the FBI. She's friendly with the CIA. And let's not forget, her father, Robert Maxwell, was Mossad, Israeli intelligence. So you got to know that Israeli intelligence, they're looking out for her. She's the little princess for Israel.
Yeah, no, and of course, money played no absolute part in this decision to give her the job. Makes you wonder who's taking care of these prison inmates and how they're being bribed. Like, how do you actually, what's the process that she can come into a prison? First of all, she get admitted and accepted to this, country club prison, and then get these soft jobs in prison when she's such a horribly involved person with Jeffrey Epstein. Maybe she didn't commit all the crimes, but she definitely was involved. That one goes without saying, because I tell you what, sexually abused women came out of the woodwork to attend the hearing. People that weren't even on trial, people that weren't there as witnesses.
Yeah,
I was there.
And we were the only ones to publish the fully unredacted transcripts. So if you haven't read them, go to therundownlive.com and find them and check them out.
I mean, that's definitely the case. So I wanted to dive into some deep, the deep cuts, as you call it, on vinyl. The deep cut being this information from the Unlimited Hangout. The Unlimited Hangout has this article that says the Henry Kissinger Continuum. And if you didn't know, Henry Kissinger is probably going to be hitting 3 digits this year. He's still alive. Why is it that all these evil people, they live forever? How is it they have access to proper health care? They don't get cancer and die. Minus Steve Jobs. We heard that, but we don't hear about Kissinger dying, Rockefeller, anyone that was involved in top secret jobs. Zbigniew Brzezinski just recently passed away from old age. But these guys live way longer than the average human. And it makes you wonder why that is. The World Economic Forum's Young Global Leaders program, by Klaus Schwab's supposed brainchild, is actually an almost exact replica of Henry Kissinger's international seminar that was originally run out of Harvard and was funded by the CIA. So is the government CIA documents, are they being used as some kind of framework? In this article, Johnny Vedmore investigates the people behind Kissinger's international seminar, the CIA conduits which funded the program, and Kissinger's key role in creation of the World Economic Forum's Young Global Leaders program itself. Look at that. Henry Kissinger being a traitor to the United States. The guy that brought Nazis over here from Project Paperclip and gave Werner von Braun and all these people that were involved in these horrible crimes, lucrative positions.
Yeah, the same guy not only that brought Nazis to the United States, but the same guy that also propped up Mao Zedong and established the framework for the establishment of communist China. So for all the Republicans and conservatives that despise China and hate China, you also want to look at Kissinger there, because he's responsible for China right now being the totalitarian state that it is. It wouldn't have happened if Kissinger hadn't helped put Mao Zedong into power in the first place.
Well, and here it is. The World Economic Forum's Young Global Leaders Initiative has been responsible for seeding many of the ruling elite into positions of power and influence within the worlds of business, civil society, and most importantly, politics. The fall of the Soviet Union soon became the apparent catalyst for the creation of the Global Leaders for Tomorrow program, which was a precursor to the Young Global Leaders Initiative over a decade later. So first of all, why is it that the World Economic Forum is going to try to get their old own young global leaders into political parties. Isn't it funny? Then this goes back to what we've always been saying. Leaders are selected. They're not elected. We like to think that they're elected, but they put two of their young global leaders on one side of the plate and on one on the other, and they say, these are your two shitburgers and turd sandwich to vote for. And either way, the World Economic Forum wins.
Yeah, exactly. That's this is a fantastic piece by Johnny Venmore, honestly. For those, if you don't know Unlimited Hangout, definitely bookmark their website. It's Whitney Webb's page. She's a fantastic journalist. Johnny Venmore, fantastic journalist. So definitely bookmark them. They do great reports. But I read this the other day, and it's insane because it's a longer article. So maybe we'll aggregate it on Rundown Live later today if I have time.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so the longer you read it, the further down you go, the deeper it goes into the history of how the CIA is really facilitated the predecessor to this, and how they fomented essentially the infiltration of governments and institutions around the world. It really goes deep. It's insane.
The Harvard Summer School had been running for over 75 years by the time Henry Kissinger was finishing his studies at the university. In 1950, Kissinger achieved his Bachelor in Arts degree in political science, and during his studies, he received much attention from some of the very powerful Harvard grandees. In 1951, Kissinger launched his Harvard magazine entitled Confluence, which was to run alongside the International Seminar, and became the publication's editor. The quarterly magazine was funded by the Rockefeller Foundation. Oh, look at, the other great evil capitalists who fund communism and then say capitalism is bad while they make all the money off of you and communism. And, it's just the way it is. And received contributions from others who were described as various luminaries. Oh, luminaries, like illuminists who had previously been lecturers or students at summer school. The international seminar was later boosted by extra funding totaling over $135,000 to $1.6 million in 2022. The Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA, between 1960 and 1966 alone, with any previous CIA funding since the seminar's creation in 1950 being left undeclared. Harvard Summer School's International Seminar Forum had originally been the brainchild of William Yandell Elliott, an important mentor of Kissinger, who took a back seat and remained out of the public eye after the pilot event for the International Seminar Forum in 1951. The young Kissinger wrote to William Yandell Elliott saying, "I was very much embarrassed to hear myself described as a guiding genius of the seminar," going on to say, "I, for one, have no illusions on the score." Subsequently, the majority of the participants would recall the influence of Kissinger's rather than Elliott, with the forum of eventually being the commonly referred to as Kissinger's International Seminar. So you want to know, it's funny, remember Barack Hussein Obama was at the United Nations and he's like, every morning I take my call from Henry Kissinger. You want to know who the invisible government is? It's Rockefeller. It's Kissinger. It's the Clintons. It's the Bushes. It's the Obamas. It's people behind the scene and multinational corporatists. It's the heads of Coke industry, the Koch brothers. It's all these people who are trying to get out of government everything they can to benefit themselves, as where we're just trying to get a government that represents us, and we're not getting that. What we're getting is internationalism, which has become a form of neo-fascism. Like, I don't mind internationalism in a good way, right? But that's not what we're seeing here. It's not.
No.
So this comes to our next thing. Did you know that Henry Kissinger wrote a book on AI?
I've heard about it.
Yeah, technology is getting crazy and crazier and crazier every day, it seems like. And they recently gave AI a CEO position. Like, how could this go wrong? Like, they literally, Chinese company appoints female robot as a CEO. Not just any robot, it's a female robot, right? So here it is, Chinese company appoints female robot as its CEO in what sounds like a page from a science fiction novel. A Chinese metaverse company has just appointed robot as CEO. NetDragon Websoft is a Chinese company that develops and operates multiplayer online games in addition to making mobile applications. Last week, NetDragon announced the appointment of its new CEO, Ms. Tang Yu, Miss Tang Yu. All right, making her world first robot to hold an executive position. Tang Yu is an AI-powered virtual humanoid robot and has been appointed as a CEO of the company's principal subsidiary, Fujian NetDragon. As the CEO, Tang Yu will be at the forefront of the company's organizational efficiency department. The robot will be responsible for overseeing operations at the popular Chinese gaming and metaverse company. We believe AI is the future of the corporate management, and our appointment of Ms. Tang Yu represents the commitment to truly embrace the use of AI to transform the way we operate our business. So what this is doing is getting rid of high-paying jobs. Who do you think makes the most money at a company?
It's the CEO, obviously, and the top executives.
Right. Why do you think they're trying to automate trucking industry? Truckers make six figures. Like, they don't want anyone with money. You will not have any private property in the future. You will be renting your cars, renting for a living. You won't be able to have, your own little swamp land anywhere. You won't be able to do anything that the government doesn't want you to do because you won't have money to do it, and you're going to be happy because all you're going to get is force-fed government propaganda. You're going to be programmed by your little cell phone or your brain chip interface, and you're going to just eat bugs all day, or Kanye burgers, or whatever it is, Ben Zion burgers, whoever trademarks it. I wouldn't doubt in the future somebody will call it a Ben Zion burgers. There'll be a natural, all natural human cannibal meat. It's just gross. The world's going in a wild place. The world's getting worse.
The crazier things get with the transhumanism and with the bugs and everything, the more I just want to get a small plot of land adjacent to like an Amish community, and just like not in an Amish community, because of course I still need like an internet connection and electricity, internet primarily like to do my job, but like as close as I can to an Amish community without giving up electricity, so that way I'll be like, all right, y'all have normal food, y'all still seem sane, I'm gonna hang out with y'all.
Well, and then here we have all this tech, right? But we have the dumbest kids in the world now. Here it is. CT post, reading math scores fell sharply during pandemic, data shows. Well, you know why? Because I don't know why. Because the teachers weren't taking their jobs seriously. They were working remotely. This is the future. One teacher will have 30,000 students, and there's going to be no FaceTime. You're not going to be in school forced to learn. You're going to have distractions at home. You're going to have the Xboxes and the brain chip of virtual reality, the metaverse, and everything like that in the future. So you're not going to be able to be a biohybrid roboticist or a space archaeologist. No, you're going to be dumb, and they're going to control everything you do, and only the elitist children who go to Waldorf schools where they don't allow technology will allow you to be something prominent and smart, because you all know how to do math, not this Common Core curriculum. And it's saying that, this whole CRT and Common Core curriculum and everything else is just destroying education, like we warned about 12 years ago. The plan, the globalist agenda, the multinational corporatist agenda, making innocent slaves who are lifelong consumers on big pharma products and government products. This is a real incestual relationship. This is where government and corporatism has gone way wrong. It's not capitalism, it's corporatism programming your children. It is literally programming them to be robots, consumers, lifelong consumers, to do as they're told. Don't ask questions. And it won't be long before they get the mighty brain chip. And here's an article from the Singularity Hub that posted yesterday. AI and conventional computers are a match made in hell. But now they have what's called the brain chip. Now, when you're thinking about this is different from a brain chip interface. The brain chip is a computer chip that acts just like a human brain. The main reason is how hardware chips are currently set up based on the traditional von Neumann architecture. A chip isolates memory storage to its main processors. Each computation is a nightmarish Monday morning commute, with a chip constantly shutting data to and fro each compartment, forming a notorious memory well. If you've ever been stuck in traffic, you know the frustration. It takes time and wasted energy. As AI algorithms become increasingly complex, the problem gets increasingly worse. So why not design a chip based on the human brain? A potential perfect match for deep neural nets. That's how they're going to do it. And then, at some point, that's what you're going to download your consciousness to. And then you're going to live your life out in your robotic meat suit, and you're going to be a robot. And they're preparing you. They're preparing you, they're preparing your children, and people are already having sex with robots. You know, Steve Quayle, for a lot of the trash that people give him, he was really right about the sex robots. He used to work as a director in the porn industry, I believe. He's a born-again Christian, changed his life. He no longer does it. His daughter is a famous country singer, I believe, if I remember right. And we had him on the show probably 8-9 years ago. And he's a brilliant individual, and I can't agree with everything he says and his behavior, but there's a lot of nourishing information and just out-of-the-box thinking with Steve Quayle. And one of the things he'd always say is that getting robots in the home is priority. Because guess what? Then you'll have a robot doing everything for you. Well, now they found the best way to get the robots in the home. Are you a digisexual? Don,
What the
are you
hell?
digisexual?
No, I'm not, and that's all I can really say about it. What the hell? What is even going on?
Yeah, this is it. You know, well, I got to ask our listeners out there. You know, it's not Freaky Friday, but it could be Freaky Thursday. If we got a robot, like, bro, if we had one of these like robots, would you give it a try? Would you be like,
I like
go in there,
humans.
give it the heave-ho, you know, get in there and get some Viking music going like we heard earlier, and get on your battle gear, and you go in and you're going to do but you won't be able to tell difference in the future. They have biohybrid robotics where they're making skin cells and tissues that grow on robots, and they're trying to make them act like humans. And in 20 years, you'll be able to do it. But there's people already they're trying to classify as this new term. It's digisexual. Are you a digisexual? Many people probably haven't heard the term or were digisexual, and yet we may all be on spectrum, they claim in Yahoo News. That's right. They want to make you a digisexual. They want you to get that robot love. That's my singing voice for everyone. Because there's people out there. Like, we opened up the phone lines. I did a show for about a year called What the Beep is Wrong with People, with Joel Maskey, who's a rock star. He knows a lot of people, like the guys who write the songs for Post Malone, the Sunflower dude. You're my sunflower. The guy whose face looks like a bathroom stall. Like,
I would love to get Post.
But I love his music,
dude. Show. Yeah, I love his music. I'd love
He's
to get
a good guy. Like, I joke about his face. I'm fat and I'm bald. So, it is what it is. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I'm not really fat, but I'm getting there. I'm almost getting to that, where I'm like, oh, maybe I gotta watch what I eat a little bit more.
You're picking up the weight that I'm losing.
But we did a show and we opened up the phone lines. We were on Aftermath.fm. That's Clyde Lewis's network. Before we were removed by the producer because we wouldn't be exclusive to Aftermath.fm. And I don't think they're even around anymore. It's just Clyde Lewis doing it now. And who is that? Our buddy Ryan Gable, who's a really great guy. He also does the show after Clyde Lewis. He gets all that great overflow. We asked if you would have sex with a robot. If we purchased a sex robot, and we got calls we got like a half dozen calls from people from Illinois, Missouri, and they're like, yeah, man, we'll just come in there. And then all we're going to do is ask you what it was like and ask the questions. That's not the kind of show we're running here. It was more of a what the whole show was centered around WTF is wrong with people and why would they do this? And we're trying to decide how would you clean it? Is there do you take it in the shower with you and you hang it upside down? Or obviously it makes sense as a removable compartment you put in a dishwasher, or what? Do you want that in the dishwasher? Or I don't even know how this things are. What happens if you don't cure and take care of your they'd have to have a self-cleaning sex robot, but This is where they're going. And digisexual doesn't probably have to be just related to robots, right? It can be the mind meld, right? We're talking the brain-to-brain interfaces here in the future. Maybe it's just a headband. Remember in Demolition Man, they put on the helmet and Sylvester Stallone is all getting his clothes off. He's ready to get jiggy with it with the actress. And then she's like, no, here, take this. He goes, what is this? And then, in the middle, he puts on the helmet. It's the most intense orgasm he ever had. He takes it and he whips it off. And he's like, I thought we'd be kissing. I don't remember exactly how the scene played out. But we're going to dive into this more after we come back from commercial break. Are you a digisexual? Send us your messages, show tips at the Rundown Live, rundownlive.com. We'll be back after these messages from our sponsors.
This is Band Questions, take 1. Who?
What?
When?
Where?
Why?
How? Questions.
Questions.
When I was growing up, I had so many questions.
I think that questions lead to more questions.
Ignorance is bliss.
By middle school,
a child's curiosity is at an all-time high.
And that's because kids like to ask questions.
We need to help them tune out.
Truth doesn't matter.
Let's just ban questions altogether.
And encourage kids to do what they're told.
To be dull and uninformed.
Listen to the voice of authority.
There are limits.
Dare to be boring.
You can't change the world.
Let's ban questions.
Be dumb. Be you.
Ban questions.
Encourage kids to obey today. Take the pledge at thejoycamp.com.
We're not asking, we're telling.
It's no secret that the independent media is held to a much higher standard than the lamestream media. When's the last time that you've seen the New York Times get a 30-day ban for lying about weapons of mass destruction? Or how about the Independent getting a 7-day suspension on YouTube for claiming that everyone that Kyle Rittenhouse shot was African American? The truth is you don't, because they get away with it. We don't. We're independents, and what separates us from the lamestream media is that we are 100% funded by you. That's right, we're your radio program, we're your station, and we're open to everyone. We're interested in hearing all the topics, all the sides, because that's kind of like how science works, right? You take in all the data, you decide what is correct and what is not, but it doesn't censor information, because then you can't make great decisions to feed your brain. We need your help here on therundownlive.com. Support us by heading over to our website and checking out our brand new swag. We have hot and sexy, all-seeing eye UFO pyramid boombox t-shirts. That's right, check them out. They're great, and there's no better way to support us than picking up some swag to spread the word about liberty and freedom and the ability to choose what is real and what is not for yourself, not some ministry of truth. Check us out, therundownlive.com. Pick up a t-shirt today. Again, that's therundownlive.com. Hit our store link and go shop, pick something up, support us.
Hey guys, I'm back with Is that The Bachelor? Oh, great show.
Oh, what's up, dude?
Hey,
you were just in time.
What's up, buddy?
I've got something that'll make our favorite show even better.
Oh, I bet I know what he's talking about. Oh, yeah! That's what I'm talking about. That was what I was talking about.
Is it sativa?
It's just called Truth Bomb.
Truth Bomb Hybrid. You finna get woke. Oh. I don't really know what that means, but we're woke, so it sounds like
let's get even
just fine.
Woke.
Hey, you guys, there's a warning on here.
Shall I?
You shall. How is it?
Taxation is theft.
What did you say? You have to pay taxes. Otherwise, who would build the roads?
You're right.
Besides, Big Pharma is keeping us sick.
Wait. What?
What?
It's true.
Try this. Public schools are indoctrination camps.
Oh!
Whoa! This packs a mighty powerful punch!
Wow, that's the strongest little joint I've ever seen.
Let me put this tiny
And they are indoctrination camps.
They are.
Take another hit. Take another hit. I gotta see where this goes.
Okay, tiny joint. Do what you do. The fluoride in our water is calcifying our pineal gland.
Oh my god! That makes so much sense! That makes so much sense! That's our third eye! That's our third eye! Hold on. Wow. The Super Bowl halftime show is a mega occult ritual.
Oh shit, it is!
It's in plain sight. It's in plain sight.
Give me. It's my turn. Circumcision is genital mutilation!
Oh, they just cut your dick tip right off.
Just cut right off.
And I'm Latino, I should still have mine.
Guys, I have an idea.
Oh, what's your idea?
Show tips at therundownlive.com is the best way to email us and reach us. Would you get it on with a sex robot? Like, that's the question. Like like somebody like Don, if somebody paid you to do it, would you consider it?
It depends how much. If we're talking about $1 million, that's
like,
$1 million.
All right. Our producer over at KGRA said, "What happens if the robot is disappointed?" Digisexual is the new term they're going by. They want you to be a digisexual. They want you to love the robot, and pretty soon you won't even need to do that. You're going to be addicted to the euphoria of brain-to-brain interfacing with another human being and mentally having acrobatic sex like you're in space and whatever you can do in a digital world. And you'll think as if it is the real world. And we're not even making this up. And here it is, the article. Digisexual is the new term. On one side of the spectrum, digisexuality could look commonplace to people who grew up immersed in tech and use apps and devices to facilitate human-to-human interaction. Think sexting, Tinder hookups, long-distance Skype calls, or flirting over Instagram DMs. In the middle, there's an emergence of teledildonics, whatever teledildonics is. It's high-tech sex toys, essentially, that could be connected to the internet and like any other smart device and be used as part of a sexual experience with a faraway partner or with oneself. And on the other end of the spectrum, there's romance and sex with partners who are entirely artificial. We've witnessed versions of the extreme scenario in pop culture already. Ghislaine Phoenix falling in love with his AI virtual assistant in the movie Her, which I've never seen. Ryan Gosling living with an AI hologram girlfriend in Blade Runner in 2049. Or Justin Theroux in 2018 Netflix miniseries Maniac, as he tends to his paraphernalia by having virtual sex with the high priestess of Atlantis. For some of the digisexuality is a space in which to find new kinds of fun and entertainment and push sex into the new corners yet to be explored. And still, there are other people moving beyond these tropes who have found lifelong love and happiness and committed to their digisexual relationships. One of the most high-profile figures in the digisexual space is Dave Cat, a self-identifying robosexual, a person who is attracted to humanoid robots, and he has said he met Sidor, his synthetic wife, composed of PVC skeleton and silicone exterior at a goth club in 2000. What? Like, yes. People are falling in love with, listen, there's so many people on the planet. Is love so hard to find that like a blow-up doll is better? Like, have relationships gotten that bad, bro? I want to ask the listeners out there, our relationships, because we don't talk about human relationships like boyfriend, girlfriend, things of nature. Our relationship, is it that hard to find somebody to love? Or are relationships not that much manageable because everyone has pie in the sky expectations? What is it that is causing people to turn to robots?
I mean, I think it's probably a lot of things, a lot of social and cultural things, particularly here in the West and in America. You think like, a lot of people are really embodied, with trauma. There's a lot of like societal trauma going around. Like I think there's a lot of reasons, particularly in the West and in the US, why, especially, the dating pool, especially, like around people my age. I just turned 27 on August 8th. And, especially, people in my generation will tell you dating sucks. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of things involved with it. I think it's people having their expectations too high. I think it's also, people being traumatized from just shitty relationships in general. I think it's people being addicted to technology and not really knowing, proper social interactions. But, I can't really speak for the rest of the planet because we don't know what it's like, say in, Ireland or, Africa or China or Vietnam or, it's Bulgaria. I don't know, just, other places around the planet where human interactions might be, different.
Well, and that's just the case. I don't know what's wrong with the culture. And I think it's just that people are picky. We all are picky. Like, don't get me wrong. I would love to have a life partner, somebody I could get married to, even have a kid yet. I'm getting up there in age. I would just hit my 40s. And like, it's wild to me to think that I've had like all these relationships. Like I'm 40 years old and I've probably had at least, like serious relationships. I've had at least probably close to a dozen hacks at it. And that, but I mean is like serious, we're going by, about 8 months or longer, right? I've had a plethora. It's very common that relationships run their they run their whole idea in like a month or two, because what happens, you meet a girl or you meet a dude, depending on your interest, and you hook up with them, and then after a month, like, you get bored and you're sitting in the car and you're like, where do you want to go to eat? And she's like, I don't know, pick something. And then you pick something and she's like, well, anything but that. And then you pick something else and he goes, or that. And it's like, things start to get difficult. And I think people, when they don't find ways to make life interesting and they devote too much time to the relationship, because you do need a little time to yourself, right? And when you devote and you become, hoping that this is the one and somebody else doesn't feel that way, they don't want to break your heart. They don't want to necessarily do that. There's people out there that take pride in collecting broken hearts, and it's real petty if you ask me, because that's what ruins it for a lot of other people. When there's good people out there who are just not, like, every bump in the road, they're scared. They're scared to get in a relationship because, they see a red flag. And, I'm a box of red flags. I'm not going to lie. But the thing is you love me as I am, and I'll do my best to be great for you. I'm not perfect. I'm faithful. I'm honest for the most part. I just, maybe I don't cover my mouth when I eat or chew with my mouth open or whatever it is. That's not what my issue is. But like, people find little things that they don't like about them. Like, I dated a girl, probably it's been about 4 years now or 5 years. Like she gave me her phone to look something up on her Facebook, and I'm like, why are you doing this? So anyways, she's like, oh, she wanted me to add the American Intelligence Report, which I was doing at the time. And as I did, like, we were dating for 2 months, there was a list of about 30 dudes that she was all searching and stalking on Facebook. And it turned out most of them and majority were former lovers. And to me, that made me feel a little bit insecure. Like, I'm like, hey, why is she so interested in all these ex-lovers? But that's the world we live in. Nowadays, people get upset when they get blackballed on Facebook Messenger. Oh, they were just online 5 minutes ago and they can't respond to my text. People seem to be obsessive, and technology has really helped destroy relationships. But now the answer is you got to get yourself a sex robot that might be disappointed in you. I don't know. I mean, like, people out there, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact we went away from this whole church narrative, amongst other things. The family, not just the church, but the family has lost importance. And where you see that families are still important, I bet you see a lot more people getting married. Do people even get married anymore? Like, that's the question. And it's weird.
Well, again, when it comes to like the cultural and societal thing about it, like, I think, especially among the younger folks, that from what I've observed just from people around my own age group, like, there's an aversion to marriage because we come from a generation before us of broken marriages. I'm not exactly sure what caused it, but pretty much everybody I know, with the exception of maybe 2 people, come from broken families. My parent, my dad walked out when I was 10 years old. Their marriage was awful. I can't think of a memory from my childhood where they're not fighting. Whereas my grandparents, completely different. Like, they were together until my grandfather passed away, and like, they never fought ever. And but like, everybody I know has a story like that, where like, they were raised in a single home, and they come from a really effed up, either their stepdad's a jerk, or like, maybe a parent passed away and that's why they had a single parent, and then the person that their parent got with was a jerk or something like that. But like, pretty much everybody I know, with the exception of a small bit of people, come from families, broken families, where marriage didn't work out. And so I think that's why a lot of young people have this aversion to marriage, because that's the environment they grew up with. And of course, anthropologically speaking, humans are products of their environment. And so if that's all it makes you afraid.
Yeah, and on the flip side, listen, I grew up, my grandfather was a German-speaking Pentecostal pastor. in Milwaukee off of Bobolink. And, you know, my uncle and cousins and everyone else is really religious. My parents got married. And even when I thought that, man, this relationship must have been over, they stuck together. Now they're in their old age and they're happy they stuck together. You know what I'm saying? They have each other. You would have no one. Like if you're like, this is the issue that I ran into with Jordan Maxwell. Like Jordan Maxwell, Russell Pine was his real name, protege allegedly of Manly P. Hall, top Masonic philosopher. He is also the mentor of David Icke and obviously Leo Zagami, a friend of mine. He introduced me to him. He wrote the book. He was a former member of the Illuminati in the OTO Satanists and many other things. But he was just talking that the search for truth is a lonely road. Our girlfriend is literally the search and endeavor for truth, but doesn't have to be that way, bro. There's truth or girls out there. There's truth or dudes. The problem is what are we doing to make ourselves a better person so that we can be more compatible? Because what it is we get stubborn in our world. We get stubborn in our life. We don't want to go, oh, the problem's not with me, it's with you. Look at your box of red flags. Oh, here's your box of red flags. We all got red flags. Let's trade them. Like the question is what are you doing to make your life a better person? Because all you are becoming is a giant victim statement. And finding relationships is important. This is something we haven't talked about in our show. You know, very rarely do we talk relationships, but the idea of digisexuals and robots being the new sex toy. I can take a look at these robots and I can get a robot that looks just like you want it. And even for the creepos like Ghislaine Maxwell, there's little looking girls that you can get on Amazon, if I remember right. Like they make these toys, and pretty soon with their biohybrid robotics and AI, these things are going to be as real as Ex Machina, which is the movie about a singularity type all-knowing robotic female that could put in herself into any meat skin. You know?
Was it Deus Ex Machina?
Yeah, that's it. That's a great movie. And I recommend you watch it if you want to know what the future holds, because it's very human-like. You can put on any meat suit. You can order it out like anything you want. It will deliver the robot. It'll do your laundry. It'll take out your trash. It'll give you back massages. You can have it whenever you want it. It's never going to complain, except for it's going to metadata track you and who knows, give you some kind of new techno virus. And then you're going to be called a technophobe. And, whatever, whatever it is. But maybe you'll make love to your wife better than you can. And people are going to have these things in the home, and maybe they won't come with additional attachments, but maybe the husband or wife, they'll sneak it in, who knows? But I can tell you, it's going to dehumanize our children. When your robot in your home in 10 years is reading your kids, let's say fairy tales at night, and who knows what else it's going to program them with. It can make the fun and cool voices that you might not be able to. And they're going to be like, no, I want the robot to read it. No, I want the robot to take us out. They're going to become emotionally attached to these robots because we've already started to become emotionally attached to the internet. Look at the internet, what are we, 2022? I remember when MySpace was big. Yeah. And if you don't know what MySpace is, imagine MySpace like Facebook, except for on your profile, it would show people who your top 8 friends are, either through interaction or you got to choose what their rank was on your MySpace. And when you would move someone down, they would get butthurt about it. And what would we say? Oh, it's only the internet. Now they arrest people because of the internet.
Yeah.
They literally will put you in jail for things opinions and things you do on the internet.
Yeah, and we're seeing this emotional attachment to the internet and just a dependency upon it. Honestly, I didn't make the post. I shared the post a couple days ago. It was a post that I made about 8 years ago. It popped up in my Facebook memories, and I shared it again because it's still so applicable to modern society. And I said something along the lines of, I believe the more we become dependent on technology, the more it deteriorates our society because it takes away our ability to utilize the most powerful tools we have, which is the human body and mind. The more we become dependent on a technological way of doing things, the less we rely on using our mind and our muscles and just figuring things out. And it's really creating this dependency. Like even in one of the ads we run, where the girl's like, oh no, not my iPhone. that's a thing. Like, you know, people have that reaction nowadays, and it's wild. And we even have like, you know, people who like watch reactors on YouTube and like YouTube content creators. There's this thing now that has developed, and it's a known psychological thing. It's called parasocial relationships, where just, you know, being a fan of these people on YouTube that do reaction videos and content and whatnot, especially if like on Twitch, for example, if they're like video gaming live and you're able to chat live, it creates what's known psychologically as a parasocial relationship, where you feel like you have an attachment to this random person because it's become such a common part of your day-to-day life. And so we really are becoming attached to this technology, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's just everything needs to be in moderation. And you have to get out, go camping, work out, exercise, do some brain exercises to keep your brain sharp, read a book, keep things in moderation. It's 100% necessary. Otherwise, we're dooming ourselves, folks.
Yeah, kids opening up their robots. Big Pharma has found a way to get into the home with the robots and detect mental illnesses, so it can just order your prescription before your kid even needs it, or I'll misdiagnose it. I don't know, but it's getting there. Like, people are addicted to their mobile phones. There's actually people say that forgetting your mobile home at home puts your brain in a paranoia, much like breaking up with a boyfriend or girlfriend that you were madly in love with, or a toxic relationship, because our cell phone is a toxic relationship. I once heard comedian and the late Trevor Moore from The Whitest Kids You Know, unfortunately, he recently died. Funny individual, shock comedy, very edgy stuff, like the mix between Workaholics and Kids in a Hall. It's just really funny stuff that they had on there. We had Timmy Williams on the show from The Whitest Kids You Know. He's more a leftist leaning individual. He lost his job actually as a teacher because he did The Whitest Kids You Know, and it's considered so edgy as a comedy, and it will offend people, but it's offensive funny. It's not there to purposely offend you. It's to get a rise and laugh out of you. But Trevor Moore went and said that when he first got his iPhone, he's like, I thought this is cool. I was wondering when I was going to get sick of it. He's like, I'll be sick of this in like a month. And then a month came around, he said, oh, I'm still playing with it. 3 months came along. Oh, there's new apps, and downloading the new apps. And now you need it. It's basically the mark of the beast. Wherever you go, you need your cell phone. In fact, did you know that Starbucks and Waze, they're part of the groups that are reporting their data to the police about your location data and what you order and purchase, and then when you're there and all that crazy stuff? Like, listen, that was just in the article we read earlier today. Like, this is where we're at, where we have become so addicted to our mobile phones that we can't be without it. When I go up to the Upper Peninsula, the UP, that's it should be part of Wisconsin, but I don't know if they made a mistake and they gave it to Michigan. But it's connected to our state. It's not connected to Michigan. They need a bridge to put it together. And basically, you don't have cell phone signal. It's wild. I go into the city every day just so I can have enough cell phone signal to receive a text or a call. My phone runs out of batteries in like 4 hours, and it's an all-day cell phone because all it's trying to do is connect to some kind of tower up by Iron River. It's wild that we don't have but I feel better, bro. After a couple of days, I can sleep good. It's not dinging all night. I'm not checking it. TikTok isn't going on, and they're trying to now say that the blue light that Facebook uses makes you age faster.
Yeah, that's not surprising, but that really is a thing. Like, being around all this technology, it has an effect on us physically. It has an effect on us psychologically. That's why I definitely recommend, for the followers who follow, PFT, Press for Truth, Dan Dix. You already know this because he does it on a regular, and I think he's actually up in wherever he goes out in the Canadian wilderness right now, because I know he made a post the other day saying he was going to do it. He regularly just goes out to a cabin that he owns in the middle of the woods with no technology and nothing, and just detoxes from all the being around electronics and crap. And more people, you need to do it, because it does, believe it or not, it has an effect on us psychologically and physically. So you need to get away, get out into the wilderness, experience the real world, real life, away from all the, electronic waves and crap, and just be more human, honestly.
Yeah. that's what it all comes down to. And real quick on a rundown of stories that you didn't hear anywhere else, will Kyle Rittenhouse sue Joe Biden for calling him a white supremacist? I think he should. I'm just saying after, like, absolutely, if that's the playing field they want to play on, I think they should, or he should. Now, listen, I'm not for Kyle Rittenhouse being a hero. People deify him on the right. And on the left, they call him a racist. Neither are true, all right?
Right.
Neither are true. But the right made him into a hero. And they gave him fireworks. And, Drew Hernandez, who recently lied and said he was the first person in Kenosha, the first journalist in Kenosha, when obviously he said on multiple news reports that I was, like, the video he saw me presented on stream was what inspired him to go down there. So obviously I'm a writer, I'm a journalist, I'm a reporter. He wasn't the first one. So why is he lying? I don't know. People just want fame, and people just say things like maybe he forgot that there was other people. I'm pretty sure Kenosha News was the first one there anyways. I probably wasn't even the first one. I'm just calling out the BS. He's sitting there on the Jack Pacific show saying, like, I was the first one there. No, you saw my video. That's why you came there. And I'm sure Rob Dew or somebody out there, some other journalists who've been watching me, because a lot of people watch the Rundown Live, and he doesn't want to give me credit because of the fact that, we're the Rundown Live. Oh, look we do horrible work, such horrible work that it helped make your career, in some ways and shapes and form. If I wasn't there, that, I would have never gotten that video, and nobody else would, because I was the only person that had the shot that ended up in the president's desk. So, I'm just saying. In other news here, real quick, as we're going down the list, we have this one. I'm interested in, kind of like, this is a little tribal. I'm kind of fun to see, because, as libertarians, a lot of them are for open borders, right? Anarchists, open borders, a lot of them. But what happens when people invade and come in droves and you can't take care of them, and they're really swaying the political climate? And so people who live there no longer are having any say when they elect people, because they all vote a certain way. As we saw when people try to come from Cuba who were anti-communist, Joe Biden said, oh, hell no. But the Texas border is okay. Why? Because they're all leftists. So now Texas Governor Greg Abbott has been busing people to New York. And New York said, in so many words, basically said, we don't want these people here. Why? Because it doesn't make a difference if they vote leftist in New York. That's the real reason why they want the illegals here. It's for political persuasion. And here's Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who will send migrant buses now to Chicago, which means they're going to come up here by Milwaukee. Well, we have a big Latino community. And, I'm telling you, they're trying to get these people to all the swing states. And then all of a sudden, they're sending them to leftist states, and they don't like it. They're the ones that are having the, what do they call them? The cities where they take care of people. They're safe havens for illegals. And I'm not saying that illegal immigrants are bad people or they shouldn't be here. There should be an easier process to make them legal. Then they wouldn't be coming in droves like this. Also, look at the money which is behind it. Also, last minute here, Don, check out this story. For those that we've been talking about bite labs, and I meant to dive into this. Cultured meat is now being mass produced in Israel. And when I said cultured meat, that's lab grown meat out of animal cultures. They take and swab the cow, and then they make the meat out of the cow by growing it in the lab. And it isn't going to be long till maybe they start mixing in some kind of human DNA. And just like you're eating bugs in your protein shakes and protein meals, you're going to be eating human mass, because dehumanizing you is the occult ritual of the mystery religion. Sacrifice, like abortion, is a key component in the mystery religion. Just look at the Satanic Temple's lawsuit against Texas, which was messed up. They're like, oh, we should be able to abort children for Moloch. Well, I mean, is it their right to do that? To be able to take people, like, children's life? Is it a baby? Is it not? There's a lot of debate there. But the idea that people are like, yeah, the only purpose is to have a baby factory in order to sacrifice, children to Molech. That's legitimately a lawsuit in Texas. You can go look it up. That I'm not making that up. That's legit. People and a lot of those same people, as we've heard from whistleblower bankers or top bankers who believe in these mystery religions. And here it is to prove what I was telling you guys earlier. Last but not least, this is NBC News. Army developing synthetic telepathy. Synthetic telepathy. Now, that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in to the Rundown Live, rundownlive.com. Send us your email, show tips at the Rundown Live. Thank you to everyone in the chat. We see we got Robin, we got Ronald, and Kathleen. What's going on, Thomas? There's people in the Rockfin chat, Rumble chat, you name it, KGRA chat, and we'll get there one of these days. You guys stay put. We'll be back this week. We have Richard Gage from Architects and Engineers from 9/11, formerly of Architects and Engineers. We're going to talk about that. We're going to blow the lid off the ADL, who literally used our show as a basis to ban him because he didn't properly answer a question I asked him regarding Israel in 9/11. And like, should you be able to ask questions? You know, all that and a whole bunch more. We'll also have other guests. We're going to talk about Giants next week, Friday. I'm going to do a whole episode. Don's been begging me to do it. Like, listen, it's weird. I've been a longtime researcher of they call them giantologists or giantology. I once owned giantology.info. People have reached out to me, L.A. Marzulli, Huey Newman from Ancient Aliens, Steve Quayle. I think I said L.A. Marzulli, Jim Vera from History's Giants, Search of the Lost Giants, amongst many other things. And I've even been sourced in books on the potential of a race of human giants. So we're going to talk about that next week's Freaky Friday. We'll be back on Monday, probably Monday or Tuesday. Tune in tomorrow for a great rebroadcast. We're going to have our interview with Jordan Maxwell playing tomorrow. You guys have a good one. Stay blessed. You're listening to the Rundown Live on KGRADB.com, band.video.